Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, April 13, 2022. Dr. Campos?
Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for today. We have President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Corzan. President Garcia, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do have one caller on the line under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We also do not have any commentary on any of the items for today's regular agenda. Again, just one caller for general public comment.
Okay, we'll take the public comment now.
Great. In addition to that, President Garcia, there's been a request to continue item number 6 on today's agenda. This is a contract acceptance, in as much as the Board Secretariat Office and the Office of Accounting need to do additional research on pending stop notices related to this project. We are respectfully asking your board to consider a 2-week continuation, if there's no objections, to Wednesday, April 27, 2022.
Okay. Any objections, colleagues? Hearing none, we'll do a 2-week continuance.
Thank you, President Garcia, and thank you, board. At this time, we'll go ahead and start taking public comment. Dr. Williams, caller ending in 682, if you can please unmute your microphone by pressing *6. The Board of Public Works is now considering general public comment. You'll have 2 minutes to speak under this segment. Please go ahead.
Dr. Tom Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Land Use and Development Committee. We're helping people down in Harbor Gateway North. They need to know where to find the R revocable permits within the city of Los Angeles, especially in their area. They have some concerns regarding gates across public streets and sidewalks. So I'd like to get a reference to anyone in, I presume, the Bureau of Engineering who considers and may have access to a database, hopefully, for our permits in the CD 15 area, Harbor Gateway North. So we're trying to help them, but also trying to help ourselves, because we're looking at putting up gates on public roads in El Sereno. So we're trying to find out what the process is for our permits on public rights-of-way. So if you could send me an email or any way of a contact for Dr. Tom Williams, CT Williams 2012 at yahoo.com. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Williams. That's the last of our callers, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay. Public comments officially now closed. And moves us on to the approval of the minutes of Wednesday, March 30th of 2022. Is there a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move the approval of the minutes forward and forthwith.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, colleagues, moves us on to agenda item number 1. This is for the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 6. This is a construction services contract, Cisco, for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Preliminary Treatment Odor Control System Project CIP 8674. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to use the construction services contract Cisco and issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $2,484,000 for CIP 8674 Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Preliminary Treatment Odor Control System Project. Okay, and we have Mr. Kopp here. Good to see you. Good morning. And Mr. Good morning. And Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez, you're with DOE too, right?
No, I'm with sanitation.
Sanitation, got it. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kopp, good morning.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. David Copier of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. Before describing the authority request, I'll provide a little bit of background how VCT operates and its operational history leading up to this proposed fast track project through the construction services contract. So like the other water reclamation plants, we have the primary treatment stage and the secondary treatment stage. The primary removes physically, settles constituents from the wastewater stream, followed by the secondary treatment process that uses a biological system to further remove constituents from the wastewater stream for further treatment downstream. And so in order to have a healthy secondary treatment system, you have to use aeration blowers to sustain this biological activity. And so as the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant was originally designed and constructed, these blowers address two issues. Providing the aeration into the secondary system, but also negatively pressurized the primary settling tanks and associated channels, conveyance systems, so that the headspace between the liquid space and the deck covers, for example, the tank covers, could remain negatively pressurized so that odors could not escape into the surrounding areas. And so that airstream went through the blowers, and in turn that foul air was scrubbed through the secondary treatment process. So two operational objectives are achieved. Unfortunately, that foul air over the years started accelerating some corrosion within the internals of these 5 blowers. And these are very big, expensive blowers. The maintenance costs in regards to this issue can be in the order of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Replacement on the order of $1 million. And there are 5 of these blowers. So there is a high risk involved there in terms of cost and operational availability of blowers to sustain the secondary treatment process. And so what the Environmental Engineering Division did a couple years ago was constructed and commissioned a biotrickling filter facility in between that airstream, so that before that primary treatment airspace went through these blowers, this biotrickling filter removed a lot of those corrosive constituents in the airstream, primarily hydrogen sulfide. And while that system was very effective, i.e. removed an upwards of 98% of H2S, hydrogen sulfide, and continues to do so, there's still remaining moisture and train in that airstream that, in addition to the trace hydrogen sulfide and oxygen present in that airstream, it's starting to react with the metal surfaces of the internals of the blower still. So while the corrosion has been decelerated, it has not been eliminated. So that operational risk still exists where you could have expensive maintenance costs and replacement costs in the future. And so what this project, proposed project, is going to do as part of this agenda item is to separate the blowers from this primary treatment airstream and allow them to intake fresh air from the atmosphere like Hyperion, for example, does. And then further upstream and downstream of this biotrickling filter, where trace amounts of hydrogen sulfide are still present, this project would propose to install a polishing system. And for the city, this is very conventional. The collection system, for example, operates biotrickling filter facilities with a polishing stage of, I think, at 3 sites within the city. And then Hyperion is currently constructing and commissioning 2 of these facilities with that primary biotrickling stage followed by polishing. So we're modeling and scaling that to the needs of Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant in this regard. And both Bureau of Engineering and Sanitation assign a high risk, again, to the corrosion of and operational availability of these aeration blowers downstream. So what this agenda item proposes to do is utilize the construction services contract. It is a fast track in the sense that our Cisco contractor is already mobilized as part of their Cisco contract. They're currently mobilized at all the water reclamation plants, actively working on projects. And what this allows us to do is compress the construction commissioning of the proposed project within approximately a year from approval by your board. And again, the total estimated necessary budget to complete this work would be $2,484,000, and that does include an appropriate amount of contingency to address any issues that may come up during construction, as is the case with with our regular CIP contracts. And that concludes the staff report. If there are any questions.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kopp, for that very detailed report. Colleagues, any questions? I'm not seeing any hands up. Mr. Kopp, you might be able to just go away with this. Oh, we have Dr. Davis.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Kopp, can you explain to me the polishing process? You mentioned that as one of the variables involved in the solution to this problem.
Sure. So the polishing stage, it models, again, the biotrickling filter facilities that have been built over the years in the collection system and currently being built at Hyperion. And what the polishing system is primarily comprised of are activated carbon tanks. And so it's not a chemical process in the sense, it's more of a physical process where the remaining constituents in the air stream are adsorbed to this activated carbon material that's readily available for the city. And that provides, going back to that 98% removal efficiency of hydrogen sulfide, these tanks would remove that remaining 1 to 2% of those constituents, in addition to other constituents such as VOCs, other things that would be a source of odor.
And when you talk about aeration blower, explain that technology to me.
Sure. So in the secondary treatment process, there are these blowers that aerate the secondary treatment process. Very similar to anybody that has an aquarium with the bubbles that come up. It's the same approach. You want to keep that wastewater stream oxygenated so that the bugs, so to speak, the bacteria and microbes that help us with this biological process can remain healthy and be sustained throughout the wastewater secondary treatment system.
So in terms of the scope of work that is going to be completed in this project, what is the time period in terms of the estimated time, if you will, that it would take to complete the work that needs to be done to resolve this issue?
So currently we're designing the system and going before your board for the approval to issue what are called task work orders up to this not to exceed authority. Between today, so to speak, and when we anticipate to complete commissioning and construction, we're looking about approximately a year time frame, hopefully less. And this will allow us to address that operational risk downstream with these aeration blowers.
So in terms of this project, as far as Public Works is concerned, it's a cooperative effort between both the Bureau of Sanitation and the Bureau of Engineering. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do we arrive at the potential prime contractors to do this work between the two bureaus? How do we select?
Sure. So in this case of using the Cisco contract, it's a Bureau of Engineering delivered contract where we basically use a creative bid and award process to open competitive bidding, but while allowing a contractor to be awarded a contract, not necessarily knowing what projects they're going to work on, but they will have a contract defining a duration and a budget. And I believe there are a couple agenda items in progress regarding our Cisco projects managed by the Bureau of Engineering. But when we, at a project's inception, which is triggered by a request from our client agency, LA Sanitation, to initiate a project, so in this case to address, this blower corrosion issue, along the early stages of the development, we figure out, in a very general sense, starting off, of course, the scope, schedule, and budget. Depending on the schedule, we may use an alternative contract delivery method that would be different than the standard bid award phase where there's a bid opening date, contractors submit bids for a particular project, and are in turn awarded a contract. And that can be lengthy. That can be 6 to 9 months or even longer. In this case, the Cisco contract, we collectively agreed with LA Sanitation to use this since this contract is already awarded and in place with a budget ceiling. It's just a matter of issuing this project within that contract by way of this tax work order methodology to allow for authorization of work and payment between engineering and the contractor. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I'm looking for decision-making processes in terms of who is on first base to select the prime contractor for this particular task. is it the engineering department? It appears that we are fortunate to have prime contractors who are on the Cisco list that are also those who are capable of doing work in sanitation. But however, in terms of the decision-making process as to who selects the prime contractor for this work, it appears that the work is in the area of Bureau of Sanitation. So in terms of the decision-making process as to who selects the prime contractor, would that be sanitation with the confirmation of engineering? Would it be the reverse, or just how does that take place?
Okay, so I think that would be going back to how the Cisco contracts are delivered, and they're delivered through Bureau of Engineering. So, in other words, the Board of Public Works would see that by way of a Bureau of Engineering provided board report. But before moving forward with any projects or any of these Cisco contracts, we make sure that we have the endorsement of LA Sanitation before doing so by way of their financial management division, and that's where the decision's made. So Bureau of Engineering will propose to use a contract. It would be approved by sanitation before going to the Board of Public Works for authorization. But the contractor is selected by way of competitive bidding, and that process is part of the Bureau of Engineering's product delivery.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. That was very informative, everything you asked. So, Mr. Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to move this item forward?
So move.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Thank you, President Garcia. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Davis, aye.
and Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kopp and Mr. Curtis, for being here. This is very important work to the community out in Council District 6. If you don't control the order, we will get phone calls. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on along to item number 2. This is in Council District 11. This is a change order number 52 for Murray Plumbing and Heating Corporation, DBA Murray Company, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Headworks Order Control Upgrade CIP 2344, and HWRP Headworks Improvement Project CIP 2409. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 52 for CIP 2344 HWRP Headworks Order Control Upgrade and CIP 2409 HWRP Headworks Improvement Projects to rehabilitate the concrete protection system in all 4 cells of the HWRP Headworks biotrickling filter. And we have Mr. Kopp here again for this item, right?
Yes.
All right. Good morning, and please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So again, with a little bit of background leading up to describing this authority request, this contract was awarded back in April 2017. So yes, it's a long-term project and includes modernization and upgrades to the odor control system at the Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant's Headworks facility. And so the build-out of this odor control system, and once built, it will be a biotrickling filter facility. It's the biggest of its kind that will be operated by the city of Los Angeles. It's comprised mainly of 3 phases, which would be the initial demolition to allow footprint for this biotrickling filter and construct this filter itself within the 2nd phase, and then a 3rd phase to demolish the remaining existing odor control system and build this polishing system, which I described to your commission earlier on the previous agenda item, which is comprised of a carbon scrubber system. And so the nature of this authority requested by your board relates to the wastewater release event that occurred back in July. Unfortunately, this facility is located near ground zero of that release event. And so in turn, there was some damage sustained to the construction area. And if some commissioners may recall, back in December 10th of last year, the Environmental Engineering Division obtained authority from your board to provide $1.5 million in additional contingency in response to the wastewater release event and the repairs, the significant repairs needed for the construction site in order to resume construction and ultimately commission the facility. I'm happy to report we should be in full operation commissioning at this stage. We're anticipating by the end of September of this year. And so that authority request, I think it's important to mention because we did mention a number of things in that board report and the staff report that was provided. We were going to replace a temporary scrubber that was inundated by the wastewater event. We accounted for the additional time that the contractor would need to remain on site to finish the work, and a number of change orders to replace some electrical equipment, for example. And another thing was to repair the interior liner of the biotrickling facility that had just been constructed. And so this liner system is installed at the bottom of this very big concrete structure internally. And this is because in order for a biotrickling filter to work, and it's very similar to how I was explaining the secondary treatment process at Tillman, we use bugs to remove the hydrogen sulfide gas as opposed to hauling in chemicals and scrubbing them in an otherwise more conventional or previous means. And so what happens during this biological process is there's water being used that's scrubbed from the top, counter current with the airstream coming upward. And that biological activity creates a low pH or corrosive liquid space at the bottom. And that's not a bad thing for the biological activity. In fact, maintaining a very high acidity, low pH environment at the bottom means that we're running a healthy biotrickling facility. However, that interior liner needs to be in place between that liquid space and the concrete tank so that concrete doesn't become corroded. Similar to how the city has experienced in past decades for concrete sewers with headspace containing hydrogen sulfide from corroding. So this liner system protects, again, that concrete structure. But unfortunately, during the wastewater release event, there was an intrusion of wastewater that got in between the liner and the concrete structure itself, and that required removal and replacement to a significant amount. And at the time we went before your board back in December of last year, we did not know with a high degree of accuracy the extent of the damage. We went before your board with the best information we had at the time and what we anticipated to do as part of those repairs. So now that we've engaged a specialized subcontractor to further investigate and remove some of that liner, it was determined that the extent of repairs necessary would exceed the city engineer's authority of $150,000. And so today this authority request is requested to issue this change order number 52 for a not to exceed amount of $225,000 to repair that liner fully. And then we can move forward with commissioning and operation and finish by the end of the summer, as I previously mentioned. It's important to note one last thing is that this authority request is not asking for additional budget. We're just simply asking to issue change order 52 within that additional $1.5 million granted by your board back in December of last year. However, this change order is above the city engineer's authority, and that's the nature of this request. And that concludes my staff report.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cropper, for that report. Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I just want to clarify. So it's within the city engineer's authority, but in terms of the financing of it, it's within the budget that has already been prior approved by this board. Is that correct? It's available.
Yeah, I'm not asking for additional budget for this project today. It's just to issue this change order above the city engineer's authority within that $1.5 million.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Okay. Seeing no other questions, is there a motion to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. I'll second it. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me, and I'm sorry, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by me to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Great. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
and Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Crop, thank you so much for your time and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Commissioners. You too.
Bye-bye. All right, moving on along to item number 3. This is a request from the Bureau of Sanitation in all council districts. This is an annual publication notice of significant non-compliant industrial users regulated in 2021. Recommending the board to 1, approve publication of the 2021 public notice of significant non-compliant industrial users, SNIU, and 2, instruct the Bureau of Sanitation to publish the 2021 public notice of SNIU in a newspaper or newspapers of general circulation that provides meaningful public notice within the jurisdiction served by the City of Los Angeles. And we have here Mr. Mohandas with us from the Bureau of Sanitation.
That's right. Good morning.
Good morning.
President Garcia. Good morning, Commissioners. I am Manik Mohandas with Industrial Waste Management Division. Our division administers the EPA's pre-treatment program by permitting and monitoring the discharge of wastewater from various industrial dischargers within the City of Los Angeles. This protects the safe operation of the conveyance systems, the water reclamation plant, and the environment. We have an inventory of about 166 industrial discharges in our program that discharge to the City of Los Angeles sewer system. One of the pre-treatment program requirements is that we publish the list of industrial users with significant violations in the local newspaper. And these violation categories are given by the EPA's guidelines, and based on those guidelines, we classify these violators as significant industrial user violators. This annual publication provides a notice to the general public about the environmental issues in the neighborhood. For the year 2021, we have 16 industrial users under the significant non-compliance criteria, resulting in an overall compliance rate of about 90% for our pre-treatment program. A good pre-treatment program is considered an effective one, which is above the EPA guideline of 85%, and we meet those guidelines consistently for the many years. We hereby request the board to approve this publication in Los Angeles Times newspaper to inform the general public, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you for that report. Commissioners, any questions on this item?
Yes, I just need a clarification again, and I
Sure,
apologize. He was going in and out, but I just wanted to clarify that the request being made in this motion is to authorize the publication of the violators of discharged water at the site that you're talking about. Is that right? And to publish it in the LA Times. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Corson.
Yeah. So, is there any ramifications other than having their name listed? Do they run afoul of, not having some demerit against them if they are participating on bidding on anything? I noticed United Airlines was on the list. Like, do they get hit with anything at LAWA? I mean, what, aside than being shamed in a newspaper, and to be honest with you, I'm a subscriber of the LA Times for many years, and I don't think I've ever seen this list of names. So I don't know what the shaming is and what other maybe levels of recourse there is to have corrective action.
Sure, definitely. I mean, there are multiple types of violators to say. I mean, some of them are reporting violation, as you might have seen in the transmittal. You will see the categories between A through F. The categories A through D, they are called as discharge violations, meaning they exceeded the pollutant levels in their discharge over the limits that are allowed in their permits. Whereas the categories E, F, G, and H, they are called as reporting violations and imminent hazards. So if there was any late reporting or if they did not complete the reports correctly, or that if there were any inaccuracies or deficiencies in the reporting, then they get classified under those categories. As far as the ramifications of this publication goes, I mean, a lot of these industrial discharges, for example, like United Airlines, they take this a big issue because they don't want their name to be associated with anything negative, with a negative environmental impact. So publishing this can have some impact on the public perception of these IUs and their operations in general. So it's one of the requirements of the EPA program. We administer our division administers the EPA's pre-treatment program, and this is a requirement from the EPA that we have to satisfy. And any industrial violators or discharge violators who falls under those 8 categories need to be published in the newspaper. And to answer your third question on the publication in the LA Times newspaper, we publish it in the business section of the Los Angeles Times newspaper on a weekend publication. We generally see that these newspapers are read more widely during the weekends than the weekdays. So they're published typically around middle of April in the business section of the newspaper. And we have been doing this for the past many years.
Are any of the 16 this year repeat violators?
There are a couple of them. They had some issues in attaining permanent compliance the year before, but now they have, and they have made significant improvements to their pre-treatment systems, and they are almost on target to terminating the enforcement action and implementing changes to attain permanent compliance. And because of the past 2 years, there have been quite a few issues these industrial discharges have been facing in terms of having the ability to procure the equipments, the services of plumbers or other contractors to implement changes to their pre-treatment system. So it took a little time, but we were able to bring the remaining 2 IUs under compliance, and we are in the process of terminating it within the next few days.
Can you share with us who the back-to-back violators are?
Yes, we had mentioned it in the report, in the transmittal. You should be able to see the 2 dischargers. One is CDEQ. They are involved in the manufacturing of glass etching for decorative purposes. And the other industrial discharger was Pade Soleil. They are a pharmaceutical manufacturer in the Valley area. And the 2 IUs are listed in the transmittal as a footnote.
I just saw that footnote. Okay. And then, it would just be, I guess, for me, I feel like if we're going to list names, there should be some tooth to it as well, other than shaming. So maybe down the line we can have a conversation of, other than being listed, whether it's supplying them with information on how to take corrective action or some other form of a stick to get them to take corrective action. But I think, having worked with public companies for over 15 years, if their name is shamed somewhere, unless activists pick it up, unless it means loss of revenue or loss of opportunities, it's really hard to get them to take any necessary action.
But that's definitely one of the challenges that we experience, and we have an escalated enforcement policy and an enforcement response plan that we have in place that is again approved by EPA. So any of these violations that starts with a notice of violation, where we let the industrial users know that what was the reason behind issuing this notice of violation, that they exceeded the limit for, let's say, dissolved sulfides or copper or zinc or chromium or whatever it is. So once we issue the notice of violation, we give them 10 days to respond. And then right now we are having the inspectors talk to the IUs. They are our first line of communication with these industrial dischargers, and they give us feedback as to what's going on. We get an immediate feedback, okay, what was the reason, and we give them 10 days to give us a written official response. And based on the response, and we decide if we need to escalate further. Has there been any repeated violations in the past? Has it been just one time where there were some issues with the chemicals that they had, maybe with the strength of the chemical the vendors provided? Or was there any issues with the operation and the maintenance? Was there an operator issue in hand? Was there any change in the product line or the manufacturing line that led to this violation? So based on that, we have multiple levels of escalation. We can either go with an compliance order, or we can go with a consent order, we can go with a cease and desist order, or we have the ability to even suspend the permit and their operations, which is extreme, which we won't get to. We try to make sure that the objectives of a program are kind of balanced in regulating these industries to make sure that it is we have an fair and equitable actions that we take against them. Some of the industrial dischargers, they are small businesses and they do have limited resources available. A lot of times helping them with the problem and the solutions and helping them walk through the process helps us in bringing them back into compliance. So the existing enforcement response plan and the actions of our enforcement group, the inspections and the inspectors have been successful enough in bringing the required compliance activities from these dischargers.
Thank you, Mr. Mohandas. That was a great background. I appreciated that. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I just had a couple of clarifying questions that came up as a result of Commissioner Corsan's inquiry. And that is, it appears that these are federal regulations in which we are enforcing. But my question to you is there any phase of their violation that causes us to impose a fee or a penalty, a financial penalty? And, you know, of course, does the council have anything in place as it relates to that? Or how and what level of government do these financial impositions occur? Is it at the state level? Is it our level or what?
Sure. I mean, this pre-treatment program is regulated at multiple levels. I mean, we are implementing the EPA's regulations, and at the same time, Regional Water Board, Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board, they are also our, the control authority to say. They also administer and regulate our programs. And then it's the LSAN implementing these regulations in turn. So as far as the financial ramifications of these enforcement actions, I mean, our program is covered by the SIU fees, significant industrial user fees. All these discharges that comes under the purview of the EPA's pre-treatment program, they pay a fee for the city to run and administer this program. So this fees covers the sampling, the monitoring, the permitting, and the enforcement activities. I definitely understand a couple of these IUs have taken a little longer to attain compliance, but as a program overall, we are able to meet the objectives of the program and the financial implications of such actions.
So in fact, when member organizations who do this work pay their fees to the association, those are enough revenues to manage the implementation of the program that you're doing in terms of posting notification to the local newspapers. But my question rather is, in addition to that action that you have authorized, is there an authority that could be given to any level of government, the state, or, for example, you said it would be the Bureau of Sanitation? I would think perhaps it would have to be the City Council. And I don't know if you've explored this, but have we considered, in addition to these violations, where we've had multiple violations, that perhaps a fine might be imposed in addition to the embarrassment of publicizing it in paper? Oftentimes, political bodies are always looking for places in where we can have revenues to bring into government to buy and to do and to pay for other things that we are charged with the responsibility of doing. So as we think about this, as we discuss this issue, it appears that one of the potential ways in which the city could get more revenues would be not only to embarrass these major corporations who are violated, but even narrowing down more specifically to those who are repeat offenders as potentially people who can give fees, thus revenues coming into the city, thus more money to pay for more of the problems that the city has to be responsible for. So my basic question to you is, who would be within the city, or are we authorized within the city to consider an additional fee for multiple violators of this policy?
Sure. In our LAMC Municipal Code 6430, which governs the industrial waste dischargers, we do have the ability to impose fines up to $25,000 for any major violators. We have discussed it with the City Attorney's Office in terms of under what situations and circumstances we can tap into that particular LAMC chapters. So we were given
and that money would go back to the city, right? If you found such an appropriate implementation of that tool, that money would come back to the city of Los Angeles, would it not?
I am not sure on that, Commissioner Davis, but I do know that we have the ability to impose fines up to $25,000. I believe that's the state of California statute of limitations, I believe, on these enforcement activities. As far as the city's abilities or city's penalty codes or citation limits, I do not believe as such we in sanitation have any such abilities to issue any penalties. And I'm not sure if and when these penalties are imposed. I'm not sure if the city will get it back. I can look into it. And
so we can safely say that currently on the books, there is no measure that will allow an additional action on behalf of repeat violators of these discharges. Nothing is on the books but that they will be publicly embarrassed by the newspaper. There's no fee imposed on these repeated violators of discharge. Is that correct?
That is correct, Commissioner Davis, yes.
So yeah, that seems like a potential opportunity for legislation in the future. Thank you.
We'll consider your request. I will pass it up to my division manager. We will look into it and we'll get back to you, Commissioner Davis.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Davis, for your questions, and Commissioner Corson as well. Any other questions, colleagues? Seeing none, is there a motion to move this item forward?
So move.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 3 forward. And I imagine you want this forthwith too, right, Mr. Mohandas?
Yes, President Garcia.
Got it. Okay.
Great. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mohandas, for your time this morning. Have a good rest of the day. Your item has now been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Taking us on now to item number 4 on today's agenda. This is a request from BOE and the Bureau of Contract Administration for all council districts on-call This is an on-call and emergency demolition services contractors. List various Department of Public Works projects, recommending the board to 1, find environmental waste minimization Inc. to be non-responsive as discussed in this report. 2, approve the list of 3 qualified contractors to provide on-call emergency demolition services for various Department of Public Works projects. 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the signed contracts received from the selected contractors and forward the executed contracts to the city clerk to attest. 4, determine the initial order of the on-call and emergency demolition services contractors list by random drawing. And 5, authorize the city engineer to administer the contracts for on-call and emergency demolition services and issue construction orders less than $500,000. And we have Mr. Cisnan from the Bureau of Engineering today for the report. Good morning, Mr. Cisnan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ray Season from Bureau of Engineering, Project Awards and Control Division. I'm here for the board report to request the board to execute the contract for the on-call and emergency demolition services contract list. On May 26, 2021, the board authorized the city engineer to distribute the RFQ for the purpose of establishing this list. On March 27, it was posted through our LA Babbitt, which is now RAMP LA, as well as newspaper and publication. Pre-submittal was held on June 8, 2021, with regards to this RFQ. On July 6, we received 4 statement of qualification from contractors, and just to let you know, 43 users downloaded the RFQ while it was posted on LA Babbitt. Of the 4 statement of qualification that we received, and based on the review of both BCA as well as the Bureau of Engineering, we determined that 3 of the 4 contractors that submitted the SOQ is qualified to be on this list. They are as follows. One is a Silverado Contractors Inc., which is an OBE contractor. Next one is Interior Demolition, who is an MBE contractor. And the last one is TNM Projects, which is a WBE, SBE, and EBE contractor. The main purpose of this contract is to be part of the emergency operation plan debris management, wherein we need to mobilize all the contractors when needed as part of the emergency operation plan. Also, as part of this contract, we have an option to use it when we have a demolition project within the Bureau of Engineering and use this and solicit bids with them. But majority of the work will be for the emergency debris management plan for the city. That's basically my staff update for this project. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Cisnan. Commissioners, any questions on this item? Not seeing any hands raised, Mr. Cisnan. I think we're kind of excited of this work and this list. Is this the first time you're putting together this list, or this list has been in place before?
This list has been in place before for I guess, more than 20 years now. I've only been involved with it for the past 12 years. But yes, we do always have this as part of the debris management plan.
Got it. And I know you listed 3 contractors here, but is the 3 will be added to what we have currently, or is it just 3 in the entire list that we have?
This will be just a new list. Will be 3 contractors. In future, if needed, we do have an open enrollment if we do require additional contractors.
good to know that. Okay, I like that we do that. We don't just close it off for years to come. But glad that it's an open enrollment type of list. Okay, I believe Dr. Campos, we're gonna do a random drawing of this. Should we do this before we take action or after?
After your board takes action and your board considers this item, we can go ahead and establish the list after your board has made that determination.
Okay, understood. Thank you. All right, colleagues, is there a motion to move item number 4 forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. There's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 4 forward and forthwith. Dr. Campos?
Great. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
Great. Okay, hang on, Mr. Cisnan. We're going to do a random drawing that Dr. Campos is going to lead us in.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Garcia and fellow commissioners. We will go ahead and start the drawing process now to establish the order of the list for this new on-call list that your board has just approved. Again, there's 3 contractors that will be added: Interior Demolition Incorporated, Silverado Contractors Incorporated, and T&M Projects. I am joined today by Matthew Castellanos from my staff. We will do the drawing in my office, and I will move my camera just a little bit. There's Matthew, and he will be the one drawing for us this morning. Again, there's 3 contractors. Go ahead and shuffle this, and Matthew, if you can just please draw just one thing.
T&M Projects, Inc., doing business as T&M Construction.
The first order is T&M Projects. We'll go ahead and start a second.
Silverado Contractors, Inc.
Third and final.
Interior Demolition, Inc.
Great, that concludes the drawing. Again, just to recap, the order of this list will be in first order, T&M Projects, second order, Silverado Contractors, and third order, Interior Demolition. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Mr. Sasan, for your patience, and thank you, Matthew, for drawing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cesnan. I hope that concludes your ask for today, and if so, have a good rest of the day.
You too. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Campos and Matthew, for doing that drawing in person. Okay, thank you. Moving on now to item number 5. This is an item for the Bureau of Street Lighting and Bureau Contract Administration in Council District 14. This is a request for proposal, network architecture, design and planning, network equipment provisioning, and network equipment installation community connectivity pilot, Southern Borough Heights, recommending the board to 1, authorize the Bureau of Street Lighting to release an RFP for network architecture design and planning, network equipment provisioning, and network equipment installation. 2, authorize the staff at the Bureau of Street Lighting and selected evaluation committee members to evaluate the proposals based upon the requirements and procedures set forth in the RFP. And then we have 3, authorize the Director of Bureau of Street Lighting to negotiate construction and professional services contracts with the highest rated and most responsive agencies, subject to the approval from the Board of Public Works, and 4, return to the Board of Public Works for authority to award and execute the contract. And we have here Executive Director Miguel Sanglan and Mr. Dan Corsoli with the Bureau of Street Lighting too. Thank you. All right, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, members of the board. Appreciate the time to talk about this. I am here, Miguel Sanglan, Bureau of Street Lighting, joined by my immensely qualified colleague, Dan Caroselli. I'm here because of the impact that this pilot projects can have on our community, and because that there are other budgetary and policy ramifications also coming down with a couple of the reports that are going through council right now. So should there be any questions on there, I'd be happy to answer. One point well, actually an ask that I have of the board prior to going into my report is one to include an additional recommendation. Was advised because that we're still working with our partners at LAUSD and through review of the city attorney that it would be good for us to add an additional recommendation, which is to approve the RFP in substantial form, subject to any technical corrections. Again, this is not to change any of the substantive aspects of the RFP itself, mostly minor technical corrections that we've been getting back from, again, our partners at LAUSD and the city attorney's office. With that, I can go into the presentation itself. What you have before you is, as mentioned, an RFP to the tune of up to $2.1 million funded by CDBG. This was a project 2 years in the making or in contemplation. Actually, in the middle of the pandemic itself, we had requested these dollars from the con plan, was awarded it in early 2021, and have been working with staff to kind of formulate this RFP. Prior to this RFP, we had released requests for information because we wanted to know what the lay of the land was, what other players might be out there, what other technologies might be out there. What we had found was a great change to the game. Again, many others, aside from the traditional telecom companies that were interested in some of the work here, in addition to new technologies that could be useful for us as we start looking at bridging the digital divide. This RFP takes some of those lessons and is really focused on infrastructure between our streetlights. Think of it as the penultimate mile, if you will, the next to last mile. That we will then, using an anchor institution, in this case, we are partnering with LAUSD as an anchor institution to use that as a place where then we will spread out the network, spread out internet connectivity into the surrounding neighborhood. This RFP itself is bounded, as was mentioned, Southern Boyle Heights. It's bounded to the north by the 5 freeway, to the south by Olympic Boulevard, to the west, the LA River itself, and then Indiana Street on Avenue, on the east side. So an area that has actually housing, public housing, many schools, and other new developments that might be coming online in the next 5 to 10 years or so. This project, again, focuses on the infrastructure build-out, thinking about our assets to try and bring as close as possible the middle mile and last mile to the homes of people. And this is this strategy had been kind of taken from best practices that we saw from other cities looking similarly in this area. And then also reactions that we've been getting from conversations from the state and other levels of government that are also building other things like middle mile and last mile infrastructure in the next couple of years. This one's a year-long project with 3 major deliverables. One is to design the network itself, a network architecture for how these infrastructure pieces might work together, procuring or provisioning the assets themselves, and then finally attaching those assets to our streetlight network out in the field. And with that, I can pause to take any questions. Happy to answer anything you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Sanglan, for that report. Any questions, colleagues? Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Miguel. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of the funding for the project, you said that we're getting CBDG funds, correct? And so this motion is just for an RFP, though, to the network group that you talked about, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And in terms of it being a federally funded project, are we required to have disadvantaged business opportunities and that kind of thing in as much as it's a federally funded assisted project?
Yes, and we've worked with our colleagues in our sister bureau BCA to identify those. Those are in the report. Just briefly around for MBE 18%, for WBE 4%. There's additional requirements for SBE, EVE, DVBE as well. So those are all part of the consideration.
Wonderful. I think this is a great opportunity in terms of us creating more growth and development among our small business, emerging business, and women-owned business efforts as well. So very glad to see us be able to utilize some of the federal assistance that's available to help empower our workforce in Los Angeles. So thank you for this, and I look forward to the outcome of this work.
If I may, just one more addition. We're also planning to put this on RAMP, that's the regional procurement platform that the Chief Procurement Officer has been working on. Another way for us to try and get it out there into the local businesses as well. And as I mentioned, this is our pilots of pilots. We're hoping for a lot more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Commissioner Corson?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to add some thoughts. And, one is, Mr. Sanglang, I don't think you made the connection I'm going to make to Commissioner Davis's comments that Boyle Heights has one of the lowest internet subscription rates in the city of Los Angeles. And so when Dr. Davis is talking about opening up opportunities to minority-owned businesses and enterprises, and, Mr. Sanglang, you're talking about it being uploaded to RAMP. Unfortunately, in this area, without a pilot program such as this, there are a lot of business enterprises that don't necessarily have the internet access to even know about opportunities like this. So beyond just data inclusion, this is one level to find economic equity across the city for communities who have entrepreneurs who don't know about opportunities to expand their revenue pie by partnering with the city and our partners as well. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents to that I am really excited about the opportunity this pilot program can create, and hope that it becomes successful and we find other ways to expand it within Boyle Heights and other areas across the city that seem to fit the same demographic criteria, so we can just help lift as many communities as possible to be a part of the 21st century economy. So thank you, Miguel and Dan, for bringing this.
Great. VP Villegas, you had your hand up, but I know I saw it come down. No questions?
No questions. I was going to make a comment, but just wanted to focus more just on questions. I'm just glad of this work going to happen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And I just have a very more in simple terms question is, how will the residents of Southern Borough Heights benefit from this pilot? Just wanting to know from a resident perspective.
Sure. So as I mentioned, this RFP very specifically is focused on the infrastructure itself. One of the benefits is actually having an open access network there. And what I mean by open access network, internet service providers can use it, other organizations can subscribe to it, right? There's actually more possibility just because the infrastructure would be built and people would be able to subscribe to it. Very much along the lines of what Commissioner Corzine was saying. There's another piece where we're working with our partners. This is 100% why we had signed an MOU with the board's approval to work with LA County. This is why we have partnered with LAUSD to try and find other ways to provision service very directly to the residents, looking, again, to the homework divide that is there. It is reported from LAUSD's data that this area, and 100% the reason why we chose it, is an area that has seen standards of bandwidth and connectivity lower than even the current federal standards, and that's 25/3, 25 upload, 3 download. So we're looking to try and bring at least 100 up, 100 down. In comparison to what is seen as the bandwidth going through there. Those will have to be agreements that we work on with our partners, and we'll have to come back to the board to present. But those are all options on the table now that we're building this thing.
Great. Thank you, Miguel, for that. And alluding back to Commissioner Corsen's point, I'm glad that we're starting in Boyle Heights, and this is a good pilot program so that then we can expand it to other parts of the city that are in the same need as well. So thank you for leading that effort. And like you said, bringing the entire city to the 21st century is what we need. So thank you with that. All right, colleagues. Oh, by the way, before we put a motion, I know you wanted to add a number 5 recommendation. I didn't capture the word by word of how it was supposed to be. Dr. Campos, can Miguel read it into the record and then we amend it that way, or should we read it differently?
I would advise, my recommendation would be to add the new recommendation as suggested by Director Sangalang. Recommendation 5 would read, approve the request for proposal in substantial form and subject to any technical corrections.
Okay, are you okay with that, Miguel and Dan?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's number 5, what was just read out loud by Dr. Campos. Colleagues, is there a motion on the table to move this item forward with adding additional recommendation number 5? Sorry.
So moved as amended.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Corsen. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corsen to move item number 5 forward and forthwith.
Perfect, and that is as amended. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos, and thank you, Miguel and Dan, for your time. Look forward to this project coming to fruition. All right, have a good rest of the day. All right. Thank you. That was a nice project. I'm excited about that, by the way. Okay, moving on to item number 6. Actually, number 6 is a continuance for 2 weeks from today. So we're going to skip over that. And that, Dr. Campos, when is 2 weeks from today? You said April 28th. Am I mistaken?
Wednesday, April 27th.
Wednesday, April 27th. Okay, got it. All right, moving us on to item number 7. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering and the Bureau of Contract Administration in Council District 14. This is a contract award for Ramona, Inc., Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, N04 Washington Boulevard and Soto Street. Recommending the board to 1, declare Ramona, Inc., first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Ramona a contract for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, SSRP, N04 Washington Boulevard and Soto Street project for $2,097,982, and 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. And we have Mr. Cuevas and Mr. Yu here on today's item. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, good morning, Madam President, Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Cuevas. I'm with Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. So the project background is this. This is part of the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program. It's in Council District 14 in Boyle Heights area. It is south of the 5 freeway, east of Soto Street, and north of Washington Boulevard. We've identified about 2.8 miles of secondary sewers that are in D-rank condition. As such, that's what we have designed and moving forward with. That comes about 50 reaches that are affected by this. And with that, again, we're looking at about 274 calendar days to actually construct the project. So that should be the impact to the neighborhood. And with that, again, Ramona is one of 4 bidders that bid on our project. Bids were opened back in January 19th of this year. We had 3 below or at the city engineer's estimate and only 1 above. Ramona Incorporated is a local business, so again, they are the lowest bidder here. Of their commitments for subcontracting, they are committing 27% of the contract to subcontracting. Part of that, 25% is OBE. 2% of that is SBE EBE. With that, again, we are recommending Ramona. They are, again, they've been awarded other projects, have done well with us. With that, we're recommending to award the project to them.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cuevas. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Seeing none, is there a motion to move this item forward? I'll move. Thank you, Ted. I'll take your first and I'll do a second. How's that, Dr. Davis?
All right, that's great. Thank you.
We're fighting over you, Mr. Cuevas. There's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by me to move item number 7 forward and forthwith. Dr. Campos?
Yes, we'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Campos. Thank you, Mr. Cuevas and Mr. Yu, for your time, and have a good rest of the week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, this takes us now to item number 8. This is a long one, so just kind of get the popcorn out. This is a Bureau of Engineering with Bureau of Street Services for a street closure in Council District 14. This is a request for Metro Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project, First Street between Alameda Street and Vine Street. Recommending the board to 1, find that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, Metro, Regional Connector Transit Corridor Project, Draft Environmental Impact Statement, EIS, Environmental Impact Report, EIR, and Final EIS and EIR. 2, find under the California Public Resources Code, Section 21166, and the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record that since certification of the EIS/EIR, there have been no changes with respect to the circumstances under which the temporary street closure being undertaken would require a subsequent EIR or supplemental EIR. 3, adopt the January 20, 2012 Mitigation Monitoring and Reporting Program, Chapter 8 of the final EIS/EIR and Appendix 3, Memorandum of Agreement prepared by Metro as it pertains to construction impacts. 4, find under CEQA Guidelines, Section 15091, the changes have been incorporated into the project which substantially lessens the significant environmental effects as identified in the final EIS/EIR. Further, find that there is no feasible alternative or additional feasible mitigation measures within the board's powers that would substantially lessen any significant effect of the project would have on the environment. 5, adopt the attached CEQA findings of the fact and statement of overriding considerations as it pertains to the temporary street closures and find that the economic, social, technological, and other benefits of the project would outweigh its significant and unavoidable impacts. 6, specify that the Metro Transit Division of the Bureau of Engineering, located at 1149 South Broadway, the board located at 200 North Spring Street, and other relevant City of Los Angeles departments are custodians of the documents or other material which constitute the record of the proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. 7, approve the request to extend the ongoing temporary closure of the westbound direction of First Street between Alameda Street and Vine Street for 28 days starting Monday, April 18, 2022 at 5 a.m. and ending Monday, May 16, 2022 at 5 a.m., subject to the conditions identified within this report. 8, approve the peak hour exemption request to allow construction work within the public right-of-way during weekday morning peak hours, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., and weekday afternoon peak hours, 3:30 to 7 p.m., starting Monday, April 18, 2022, and ending Friday, May 13, 2022. For First Street, between Alameda Street and Vine Street, subject to the conditions identified within this report. And 9, authorize the city engineer and the director of Bureau of Street Services to administratively approve an extension up to 14 days, up to 14 additional calendar days for the closure of Westbound First Street and the associated peak hour exemption beginning Monday, May 16 at 5 a.m. and ending Monday, May 30th at 5 a.m. if unforeseen conditions are encountered which may delay the completion of this construction. Okay, Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Ann, good to have you here, and Mr. Antonelli from Metro. Good morning to all of you, and I'm ready to hear the report.
Good morning. I am Ann Huang from the Bureau of Engineering Metro Transit Division. The Metro Regional Connector Project is a 1.9-mile underground light rail transit line that will extend from a newly relocated Little Tokyo Arts District station to the 7th Street Metro Center and includes 2 additional stations, Historic Broadway and Grand Avenue Arts, Bunker Hill. The street closure request is one in a series of requests as the Regional Connector project team completes underground work, backfills excavations, and restores city streets. On August 25th, 2021, the board authorized a 7-month temporary closure of the westbound direction of First Street between Bigness Street and Alameda Street, starting on August 27, 2021, and ending on April 4th, 2022. In accordance with the recommendation number 9 of the previous board report, Bureau of Engineering and Bureau of Street Services granted an administrative extension of the closure of the westbound direction of First Street between Alameda and Bigness Streets for 14 additional days from April 4, 2022 until April 18, 2022. Metro and their contractor, Regional Connector Constructors, or RCC, are requesting to extend this closure an additional 28 days from April 18, 2022 until May 16, 2022. All the major construction work has been completed during the past 7 months. However, the requested extension is necessary for the Metro team to develop the worksite traffic control plans, obtain approval by Department of Transportation, and to implement the plans to reopen the westbound First Street. The major submittals associated with this closure have been approved by BOE. There are no unresolved notices of non-compliance issued by Bureau of Contract Administration. Just to update the board, we have been informed that the plans to reopen First Street have been approved by LADOT earlier this week. Metro Construction Relations has informed the public and the adjacent stakeholders of this planned closure extension. We are not aware of any community objections to this request. Also, City Council District 14 has communicated support for this request. And that concludes my staff report. We also have staff from BOE, DOT, Metro, and RCC available to answer any questions that the board may have. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for that report. Anything you want to add, Lawrence or Matt? Just here for questions? Okay.
I could.
That's right.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Matt. I have nothing to add.
Yeah, I have a few things to say, President Garcia, and then I'll be happy to take any questions that anyone may have. You know, our team worked really hard to open this on time, and I reported to you guys a couple times during the last 7 months and said we were on schedule, and we finished all the work ahead of the time we needed to open this, and I'll take the blame on this one. We didn't get our plans into DOT for review. It's completely on me. We did get them approved, and I really just want to thank BOE and DOT for partnering with us and getting this expedited reviews done. I know a few people had to work overtime to help us out and get us ready to go. I will report that although we are asking this to extend this closure into May, we are fully intended to open up this weekend. So we will make it within the previously approved closure request, but the administrative 2 weeks that Ann had just recently spoke of. So our contractor is lined up just to restripe this week, to open everything up by Saturday, close the business and open it back up to the public. So we did put this request in because we weren't sure where we were going to be until the last few days. Again, I'll take the responsibility. We should have had our plans in. We should have done a better job. We knew about it, but lessons learned moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Antonelli, for all of that, for the taking the responsibility for that. It was one of my pending questions I have for you. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Vice President Villegas?
Thank you, and thank you for the report. And thank you, Mr. Antonelli, for just being here today and just further provide clarification just on the extension. When you say that this will be open, what does that mean? Is that open for traffic? And then saying that this, request is still pending before us for street closure. How do those two reconcile?
Yeah, so for those of you that haven't driven down in the area recently in the last 7 months, First Street has been closed westbound, leading into from Venus to Alameda. So come Sunday, all of that will be restored. Pavement has been placed, curb and gutter is in. Everything that needs there. There might be some sidewalk closure, some bike detour type things that we still need to work, no different than what was there before. But as far as vehicular traffic, cars will be able to travel westbound down First Street from Vignes to Alameda. So that I don't know, Ann or Larry, as far as this request here, I don't know how to answer the second part of that question.
Right. I think the way I would answer it is, we didn't know 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, where we would be today. So we erred on the side of caution and came before the board before our authorization ran out. And so we just found out in the last couple of days. Even yesterday, I don't think I was completely sure. And I'm hearing now for the first time, actually, from you, Matt, that you're going to open this weekend. I just want to ask Matt, have you secured all the resources from DOT that you need to do this weekend?
Yeah, we just got our final approvals last night for our setup and implementation closures. So everything I've been told by my team, everything is in place. So we're getting ahead of it. We're going to do some striping early, so we're not tying everything up in the weekend. So it's come Saturday. It's really just final touches.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. I appreciate just all the transparency in just providing us this information. Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Commissioner Corson.
I actually didn't have a question, but I always appreciate honesty and transparency, and I just wanted to acknowledge you, Mr. Antonelli, just for that admission, and I didn't think it should have gone unnoticed, and I just wanted to acknowledge you for that.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Dr. Davis.
Yes, thank you, team, and thank you, Mr. Antonelli, for the report that you've given us here. This, I guess, is this afternoon or morning. I wanted to say that it appears that given the unforeseen challenges that come up, and they do in all construction projects, and you have tried to embrace those and move forward, it seems to me, as you give your final closing on your report, that you wanted to open up to make sure that you could comply with the Easter holiday season, and that's why you felt compelled to create an opportunity for the traffic to continue to flow over the Easter holidays. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. We're trying to get done by this weekend.
That's what I thought. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, noted. Thank you, Dr. Davis, and noted on the transparency. That's something that at the board we really appreciate and really takes you a long way. So thank you, Mr. Antonelli, for that and for your team's honesty with that. So just for clarification, and maybe Dr. Campos, you can help me with this. We will not be approving it. In other words, are you still asking for a street closure, or technically we're not asking for any more street closures, right?
Not in this area. I'll say that.
Okay, not on this street, in other words, right? Okay. So do we just basically bypass today's board item? What would be the best direction to go? Do we just kind of strike today and just say you'll open by this weekend, or should we just kind of, amend it and say up until, this Sunday to give you, a day to button everything up?
Technically, just to point out the Sunday thing, we have technically until the 18th, which is Monday morning. So
True.
We don't need any additional days for this weekend, unless Larry or Ann, you want to correct me on that.
Now, if I had known ahead of time, I would have put in a request to withdraw this
Okay.
report. I just didn't know.
Okay, no problem. No, actually, this was good. This is good. We'll withdraw it now publicly, but it's good that we were able to kind of clear the airways of what happened. I had questions around the traffic plan. I was going to ask about business interrupted. So just this all kind of clears it all out for us as well. Vice President Villegas.
Thank you. I think we can. Should we?
Withdraw.
Yeah, withdraw it.
Should we accept it or withdraw it?
Yeah, I am hearing
Should
from
we-
Mr. Antonelli to withdraw.
What is it asking us to do currently?
Well, currently it's asking us to extend the closure for almost a month, but based on the new information and the traffic plan approved this week, just I think it was Monday or Tuesday that was approved, Mr. Antonelli is now requesting to basically withdraw all of this because they will adhere to the original street closure that is up until April 18, Monday. And based on Mr. Antonelli's timeline, construction timeline, he can finish all of this by Saturday. So technically Sunday and Monday would be just to kind of button everything up. And then so in other words, we're going to withdraw item number, item number 8 from today's agenda.
Okay, I'll second that if that's necessary.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think, any objections, colleagues, on withdrawing item number 8?
None.
None, okay. If we need to take roll call, do we need to take a motion for that, Dr. Campos, or should we just withdraw?
No motion needed. If there's hearing no objections to withdraw item number 8, we will go ahead and make that for the record that the board has withdrawn item number 8.
Okay, let's do that then. Thank you. Vice President Villegas?
Thank you. And just to be clear, before we withdraw this, just wanted to go back to Metro. That is the action. We're already here. There's no surprises that will be, coming up. I just, some things always, may happen.
Yeah, I think for this area in particular, we're okay. It's been behind K-Rail, so we've had full access to the street and paving, and we've walked it with ConAd. We've walked it with DOT and BOE, so I feel comfortable saying that we're good here with this one. Obviously, as you know, construction, things change and things happen, and if anything happens, we'll address it. But we'll be back to talk about other areas in the future, but nothing this street right now. We're
okay. Good. Okay, Mr. Antonelli. Well, thank you. We appreciate that, and we appreciate streets being open and sooner rather than later. Any street close in the city is always an impact to our residents. So thank you for that. Appreciate it, and look forward to visiting your project soon.
Yeah, welcome. Anyone who wants to come out, I'm happy to take it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. No action needed. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, colleagues, taking us now to item number 9. This is an item in our council districts. This is an AFE for the California Association of Sanitation Agencies. The Bureau of Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $28,100 to pay for the 2022 membership renewal. And we have Mr. I'm going to just call you Mr. Jim. How's that? I don't want to butcher your last name. You can tell us your last name. Good morning, Jim.
Sure. Good morning, President Garcia and members of the board. My name is Jim Marchese. I'm with LA Sanitation and the Environment Regulatory Affairs Division, and I'm here to speak on item 9 for today. This is an authority for expenditure for dues to maintain our membership with the California Association of Sanitation Agencies. I'm going to refer for the remainder of the report California Association as CASA. It's commonly known statewide. We're requesting this approval for expenditure in the amount of $28,100. This is for calendar year 2022. The dues are assessed for membership based on operating budget and are unchanged for this year. Our interest in maintaining this membership with CASA is that they are recognized as a statewide leader at the legislature and state agencies in topics around our wastewater industry, on the regulatory topics and issues, as well as the legislative issues and legal issues, and have been for over 60 years. The membership is comprised of over 100 local agencies in the wastewater sector, and they address a number of topics around wastewater treatment, wastewater recycling, biogas, and biosolids management and reuse. They are known as an environmental leader in both creating clean, sustainable environments and as an association that provides for technical exchange and other interests among its member agencies. And so that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions for today.
Thank you, Mr. Marquise. Is that how you say it?
Marchese.
Marchese.
I've heard worse, so I'm fine with it. But thank you for trying.
I'm with you on that. My name always gets butchered by everyone. So, Dr. Davis.
Okay, is it Marchese or Marchese?
It's Marchese.
Marchese. Thank you so much for your report today. This is an annual fee that we pay. Has it gone up since the last annual payment that we have paid?
So it's unchanged for this year. The last fee dues increase was in 2018, and it went up by about $1,500.
And we are the largest agency in the association, aren't we? Particularly, obviously, in California, right? It's a state agency, correct?
Right. As far as dues are concerned, we're lumped in with LA County Sanitation Districts, East Bay Mud, which services the Bay Area, and San Diego as well.
So in other words, we are categorized with regions and regional associations that are members of the statewide association, correct? Because of our capacity and because of our service area, if you will. What is it that we have benefited from is it called CASA?
That's right.
Okay, what benefit has our association, to your knowledge, very briefly, what has our benefit been in being an associate member of CASA?
Sure, I can provide a couple of examples for you, and thank you for that question. For example, the direct potable reuse regulations that will allow for the water that's currently in our system to be reused as recycled product water was heavily advocated for among both the CASA team and the CASA associates and their members. And we've been successful in getting those regulations in place so that it will provide us alternatives to be able to use our water moving forward. A specific example for biosolids was a number of years ago, there was a county that was seeking to address the land application of biosolids. And the proposal from that particular county was particularly onerous to our program. And through the CASA Association and the CASA team, we were able to influence the direction of that particular proposal and be able to continue to manage our biosolids in a manner that we felt was both environmentally sound and give as alternatives to disposal.
Have we been recognized for any of our best practices among our colleagues through CASA?
Right, we have. We've received a number of awards through CASA and a number of other wastewater associations, and there and some local entities as well.
Okay, and we have learned from others, our other brother and sister agencies in CASA as well, in terms of best practices that have been able to be utilized in our very own system.
Yes, that exchange, I think, Commissioner, is probably the most advantageous for our agency. Is that we do spend time with engineers, environmental specialists, and managers from other agencies to discuss precisely those topics.
Great. Okay, thank you so very much for your report, and we look forward for our continued membership in CASA. Thank you.
Agreed, Dr. Davis. Thank you, Dr. Davis. All right. Not seeing any other questions. Is there a motion on the table to move this item forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. I'll second. Dr. Campos, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by me to move item number 9 forward and forthwith so we can get paid and continue to be part of CASA.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Ms. Aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Marquise. I think I said it right.
Thank you, everybody.
You too. Have a good rest of the day. All right, colleagues. We're like just going along. Do you guys feel like we should take a 5-minute break or everybody's okay? Keep going. I'm hearing.
We got to go.
Okay, let's go. Let's keep going then. This is item number 10. This is in our council district. So this is an AFE for Southern California Coastal Water Research Project. Asking the Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $104,485 to pay for the Los Angeles River in-stream flow study delayed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This encumbrance will be used to pay for project services required to complete and finalize the study. And we have here Mr. Rad. Oh, no wonder you said, let's keep going. I've been waiting patiently. All right, Mr. Rad, it's all you now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners. My name is Hassan Rad. I'm the Division Manager of the Regulatory Affairs Division of LA Sanitation and Environment. This request is for the approval of an authority of expenditure in the amount of $104,485 to pay the outstanding balances of the LA River Environmental Flow Study to Southern California Coastal Water Research Project, also known as SCORP. The State Water Board, the State Water Resource Control Board, selected the scope to conduct the LA River environmental flow study back in 2018. The objective of this study was to better understand how water conservation, water recycling, stormwater capture, river revitalization, and groundwater replenishment would impact LA River. The study was supposed to be completed by June 2021, but as you mentioned, Madam President, it was delayed to COVID, and now it's completed and it's done. The total cost of the study was $2.86 million, of which LA Sanitation pledged to pay $456,800 in total, and there is $104,485 that is outstanding, and that's what we are trying to currently pay. The study sort of came about as a result of a number of agencies and cities, including City of Burbank, City of Glendale, asking for what is known in the industry as a 1211 petition, which is basically change in flow in LA River, At the time, we protested. The city of Los Angeles, including LA Sanitation and LA Department of Water and Power, protested on the ground that there was really no comprehensive study of these reductions that are taking place, and there needs to be a broader look into the impact of these studies. And that's why State Water Board came in and asked SCORP to do the study. And this study has been great. A number of agencies, including our own, are looking into it and using it as a tool, as a management tool, to analyze the impact of flow reduction into the LA River in terms of the impact to recreational activities, aquatic life, non-aquatic life, and others. So with that concludes my report. I would be glad to answer any question that you may have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Rad. That was a pretty thorough report. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none, Mr. Rad. Vice President Villegas?
Thank you. I just wanted to see if we could possibly get the results once is the study complete? I think you said it's complete?
Yes, Commissioner. The study is almost complete. There are final touches that they are putting to it as a result of all the input and comments that they are receiving from other NGOs, other people involved, people that are concerned. But for most part, is concluded, and the study result is posted on the SCORP webpage. I would be glad to send you the link if you so desire. But yeah, for most part, it's concluded. The model, the outputs, and all the shiny apps that are produced that shows the data visualization is in the SCORP website, and I definitely make sure I send you the link.
I appreciate it. Thank you. As you were mentioning this, it just, we had another study, just by way of background, from the Pacific Institute, just releasing their information on urban stormwater runoff and how we can do more to capture it during these times of drought. So as you were talking, I was looking for that because I feel that as we're trying to get more flows for recreational use or eco life for LA River, I feel that maybe perhaps the information from SCORP would talk about more water flowing into LA River or more retention of water into LA River.
Yes, and as you well know, there is a lot of interest, and I should say competing interest between water recycling nowadays, our focus on local water supplies, and obviously flow in LA River. So the discussion continues, and hopefully these studies would help us better understand the impacts of all these actions that are being taken.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, thank you, Vice President Villegas, for that. Okay, colleagues, seeing no other questions, is there a motion on the table to move this item forward? Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Dr. Campos, there's the first by Vice President Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 10 forward and forthwith.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and start the voting tabulation, and we'll start with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rad. Thank you for your patience too, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. All right, moving on along to item number 11. This is in all council districts. This is an AFE for the United States Army Corps of Engineers Finance Center. The Bureau of Engineering and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $30,000, new adjusted amount of $90,000, to compensate the United States Army Corps of Engineers for the services associated with expediting the 408 permit fees for the LA River Way San Fernando Valley completion project. And who do we have here on item number 11, Dr. Campos?
Mr. Fierce. Let me go ahead and spotlight him. Stephen Fierce, if you can just turn on your video cam. There you go. Thank you.
Here he is. Okay, good morning, Mr. Fierce. We're ready when you are. You're on mute, though.
Oh, I apologize.
No
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, so I'm here before you. The context for this AFE is for the LA Riverway San Fernando Valley Bike Lane and pedestrian path completion project with Van Allen to Balboa. The projects which are in or adjacent to the Los Angeles River require permits from environmental agencies, and one of which is the Section 408 permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. The City of Los Angeles and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approved an MOU on February 26, 2019, and amended the MOU on February 1st, 2022. The MOU allows the city to compensate the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for services associated with expediting the Section 408 permit fees. The Section 408 permit fee is required when the existing channel is modified in any way. In this case, the LA Riverway San Fernando Valley Completion Project is modifying the channel by building the undercrossings via cutting into the existing channel and building a bike path on the embankment, which the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will see as a potential adverse effect. The overall scope of work for the LA Riverway San Fernando Valley Completion Project is to construct a 3-mile bike path and pedestrian path, including landscaping, lighting, railings, and 6 undercrossings under the street bridges, as well as street improvements. The project will add to the West Valley's livability by expanding active transportation options and providing new and safe access to transit, homes, schools, nature, recreation, businesses, and other community amenities. This AFE will increase the total compensation to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers from $60,000 to $90,000. With that completes my report. And if you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Fierce, for that. Colleagues, any questions on this item? Seeing none, I don't have any questions either. It's pretty self-explanatory, and glad that we were able to work with the Army Corps of Engineers with a speedy way. It's really always appreciated. All right. Is there a motion to move this item forward, colleagues?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Is there a second? I'll second then. There's a first by Vice President Villegas and a second by me to move item number 11 forward and forthwith. Dr. Campos?
Thank you, President Garcia. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Yes, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan?
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fierce. I appreciate your time and your patience as well. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Moving right along. No breaks. You said no break. Just kidding. Moving on along to administrative items. This is in Council District 3. This is a specification submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 3, Madrid Theater Renovations Project, Work Order E19084443, estimate $7,620,000. Bid receipt date May 18, 2022. There's nobody on this item. This is just basically receive and adopt. Is there a motion to move this item forward?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Corson. Is there a second? I'll take Vice President Villegas, Dr. Davis,
Sure.
and also yours. So we can do both. So, Dr. Campos, there's a first by Commissioner Corson to move item number 12 forward and forthwith, and a second by Vice President Villegas and Dr. Davis.
Great. We'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzan.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. This is exciting, by the way. The Madrid will get renovated, so that's nice to see. Okay. This is a communications from bond. This is a communication number 13. Bond to release stop payment notice for Ortiz Enterprises Inc. Ortiz Enterprises Inc. and Carolina Casualty Insurance Company are transmitting a bond to release money withheld on stop payment notice filed by Alcorn Fence Company. Bond amount of $315,898 for work done in connection with the Taylor Yard Bikeway Pedestrian Bridge over the LA River project. Primary contract for this project is Ortiz Enterprises Inc. We don't have anybody on this item as well, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a second to my motion to move item 13 forward and forthwith?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis and President Villegas. Dr. Campos, there's a first by me and second by Dr. Davis and Vice President Villegas to move item number 13 forward and forthwith.
Okay, we'll start the voting tabulation. We'll start with you, President Garcia.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Corzine.
Aye.
This item, or this motion, is adopted and carries unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. And lastly, we've got into our oral report section. This is item number 14. We're oral report for 6th Street Viaduct project update from the Bureau of Engineering. And who do we have here today on that? Is that you, Shay?
Hi, Madam President Garcia, Shay Dome.
Okay, we're ready for you.
All right, Madam President, Commissioners, board members, and reps. I've been monitoring the time. I thought I was going to say good morning, but it's good afternoon.
Yeah.
Shay Dome with the Bureau of Engineering 6th Street Division. I'm sure you're all excited to hear about the favorite project here. Before I get into the actual report, which I'll share in just a sec, I just wanted to mention that as you guys already may know, our division has taken quite a hit personnel-wise.
Shay, I'm sorry, can you get closer to your mic? You go in and out. We could hear you, but it's a little hard to get everything. So we heard up to personnel has taken a hit.
Let me see if I can adjust the mic to make it a little better.
Okay.
Any better?
Yes.
Yes, that's better. Whatever you did now.
Yeah, my apologies. You know how we use all the different platforms, whether it's Teams or Google Meets. My computer, for some reason, toggles between the different mics, and anyhow, so my apologies for that. Yeah, so you guys heard. So yeah, before I'll share my screen in just a sec. But before I get to the report, I just wanted to mention that, as you know, our division has taken quite a hit personnel-wise. Julie Allen, our principal engineer, promoted to sanitation last month. Before that, we lost one of our seniors, Julia Moy. Through the rotation program, we lost one of our associates, and our longtime management analyst, Laura Mohuta, she will be retiring in a couple of weeks. So we've lost some firepower, but with the team that we have intact, we have a very strong core. We will take this to the finish line. I'm more than confident, and we're now hitting the home stretch. So let me share my screen. Hold on. Can you guys see?
Shay, before you start, this is Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The screenshots that you're sharing with the board and the public, are they part of the record? Did you submit this in advance?
Yeah, I made no changes. This is
okay. Great.
Yeah, no changes. So whatever you guys had last week, this is the same. This is the same file.
Thank you.
Okay, so by now y'all.
Your microphone must have toggled again, Shay. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I was gonna interrupt too. Anything?
No? Yes?
Better. Keep talking.
I'm just gonna get, you know what, I'm gonna turn off my video, if that's okay with you guys, and then get really close to the mic that I have. My apologies. Okay. All right, so the screen, so right now, this is a graphical overview of the construction progress. The green represents completed elements, and the yellow is work in progress, and no color technically means no construction yet. However, I just wanted to point out that it's not entirely correct, because you'll notice on spans 3, 4, 5, and 6, you know, there's no color, but obviously the cable hangers are already in place. So what this means is the green on spans 10, 11, 12 for the cable hangers, we've already begun and virtually completed the final tensioning on those spans. Contractor is moving from east to west, and they're now starting to do the final tensioning on 9s, 8s, 7, and so forth. All the decks have been placed, all the arches have been placed. Overall, the viaduct is approximately 87% complete. The contract, what's left, so what the contractor has started but not completed yet are the roadway barriers, the railings, the northeast helical pedestrian ramp, the southeast pedestrian ramp, the east and west approaches, all lighting work, the stairways, and as I mentioned, some of the final tensioning on the hanger cables. Right, moving on to the next slide. This photo shows the ongoing work at the east abutment and the approach roadway, and it's facing west. And I don't know if can you guys see my cursor as I'm moving it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the abutment and approach roadway work, and you can also see some of the barriers, the Type 80 barriers that have already been poured. So in this slide, you'll see this is the northeast helical ramp, and I know in this photo it has not been poured yet, but it's done now. So over here, that last section here, where it connects to the deck has been poured. So the helical ramp the concrete for the helical ramp has all been poured, and there are 4 levels, and that's the 4th level right there. And at the 3rd level, which I'll show you in the next slide, you can kind of see it here. So on the 3rd level, the helical ramp kind of splits off, branches off into the southeast pedestrian ramp. And here's the southeast pedestrian ramp. So you can see the helical ramp in the background here. So on the 3rd level, it kind of branches off and splits off. And it kind of does this U shape, and it takes you up on the deck on the south side of the viaduct between spans 6 and 7. From this vantage, you're underneath span 8 facing east, and you can see that all the false work is already gone. And in fact, after this photo was taken, all false work supporting the decks, except for a little bit still under span 3, are also all removed. On this picture, you'll see, so this is where you're standing on the west approach now. So this is some roadway work or some compaction work that's going on the west approach, and they're facing east. And over here on the left, you can see the west pedestrian. So on the north side, it kind of splits off into that west pedestrian area. And that work is underway. There are 5 sets of stairs on the viaduct. This particular one is in its most advanced phase. This is the 8 north stairs. So you got stairs at 8 north, 9 north, 9 south, 10 south, and 3 south. So 5 sets of stairs. Here in this picture, I just wanted to show you some of the operations that go on during the final tension. You see these strain gauges that's attached at the top of the cables. And there's a close-up of the hydraulic jack that pulls on the cables that gives it tension and tighten this right here, this project right here. In this photo, they are in act of pouring those type A barriers that I was mentioning earlier. They are now currently poured through span 8 on the barriers, and they're working their way west. So they're going from east to west on the barriers as well. And here's another picture of the barriers with the forms stripped. And in the background here, you can see the railings. This particular railing is a 10-foot high one. They're not all 10 feet high. They are usually 4 feet. Only over the freeway and the railroads are these railings 10 feet high. Here's the schedule. It has not changed from the last quarter. Our target, or not the target, but we will open traffic end of June, and all remaining of the work will be completed early August. There's no change to the project funding. It remains as is. We break down between federal, state, and local. And for change orders, in the last quarter, we issued 6 of them, totaling just over $363,000. The overall budget and contingency is sufficient for the remainder of the construction. And for board actions, most recently, just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Natalie was presented what we got approval from the board for change order 137, which is those starters protecting the bicyclists from the vehicular traffic. Those should be procured and delivered to site sometime in June, and we will get those installed prior to opening traffic. The second bullet you see here is kind of a placeholder. I've been working closely with the contract manager on that, on this item here. Currently, we think we have it under control. We most likely will probably not need to come to the board for the task order revision for additional quality assurance testing and inspections. And finally, the park project. We should be advertising the park project sometime this summer and awarding the construction project late this year. And that completes my report. Do I have any questions?
Thank you, Shay, for your report. Colleagues, any questions for Shay?
I don't.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, sure.
Will we have another quarterly report in July? Oh, let me toggle.
Okay, say that again, because your question.
I think I realized that.
There you go.
my camera's on and off, it toggles between the different mics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm figuring that out now. But so my question was, will we have a final or last quarterly report in July?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Because we don't officially open it until August, right? So we want to just hear that.
Well, we're opening to traffic in late June.
Oh, late June.
Yeah. The August 2nd date, it's the final punch list. All remaining relatively minor work, civil work.
Got it. I almost feel like
items.
like you should come to the board right before you open it up to the public, just to hear how everything kind of closed and circled in and so forth. But give me a second, Shay. I see Dr. Campos with a hand up. Dr. Campos?
Thank you, President Garcia. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer Shea. There is a scheduled quarterly report scheduled for Wednesday, July 13th. That is your last and final quarterly update before the bridge opens. So that was pre-programmed with your predecessor, Julie Allen. So July 13th is the scheduled last quarterly report.
Okay, so I hear the question from President Garcia whether that date should be moved up a couple weeks in anticipation of the traffic opening in late June. Correct?
Yes, that was my question.
I think that's...
Dr. Campos?
Go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, what I'm requesting is that we move up that date, since you're saying that you will open the bridge late June. Perhaps maybe you can come 1 month before June 3rd, like the week of June 13th, right before it opens. I feel like maybe we've been through all of us have gone through the process of the construction and where we're at. And so I feel like it almost feels like a celebratory type of, like, tell us, here, look, it's closed, it's open, we're opening on this day. And so I don't know if I want to hear it after the fact of. I'm pushing so that we move in maybe the first week in June for your last final report, or maybe the second week in June for your last final report on this before you actually open it up to the public. Unless I have any objections from my colleagues. And I see Dr. Davis with a hand up. So Dr. Davis, maybe.
Those dates, President Garcia, sorry to
just two.
Give me 1 second.
The two dates that you may consider would be Wednesday, June 8th or Wednesday, June 15th.
And can we, hate to put this in layman's terms, can we kind of keep those 2 dates open and get back to you?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. Yeah, why don't you just get back to us knowing kind of the request that we're asking here, that right before you open up, you kind of give our last final update here. Okay, and we'll leave that up to those 2 dates and so forth.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Davis?
Yeah, I just was going to ask, is this the largest bridge in the state, or what's the?
In the state? No, I don't believe it's the largest.
Or is it? Yeah, find out what the superb.
Or in the city.
Yeah, find out what is the distinguishing factor of this bridge.
Yeah.
Some fun facts.
Yeah, because we certainly spend a lot of federal dollars on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you some fun facts.
The most expensive bridge in the state, maybe?
No, definitely not the most expensive. I know that.
And then my other question is, Julie Moyer, where did she go? Did she get promoted within the Bureau?
She promoted within the Bureau. She's overseeing our sidewalk division within the mobility program under Julie Soter, our deputy Julie Soter.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for the information.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, so Shay, we'll wait on you on when was the next, the final update. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good. This was all good information. Just, next time, Shay, work on your audio because we really want to hear this info.
My apologies. Yeah, I think I figured it out.
Okay, you will, I'm sure. And other than that, great report. Thank you for maintaining the schedule, and I think it got moved even though personnel was moved around for a bit there. But Shay, you were there, and you're going to take it to the home run. So good for that. Thank you for doing that. Anything else, colleagues, for Shay before we say goodbye to him? Well, good job. It looks beautiful. Those pictures are amazing. The heliopad looks. I didn't know how far in the in advance you guys were, but it looks almost. I mean, it's not complete. I know that, but it looks almost complete. Really nice. Good work. I'm very happy to be able to be part of all of this. So thank you, Shay, for keeping it going. And no worries. The Julies are there, but now it's you, Shay. All right, colleagues. Anything else? Hearing none. Thank you, Shay. Have a good rest of the afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, colleagues, that was the end of today's agenda items. If there's nothing else on the table, Dr. Campos, have we cleared today's desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, colleagues, we are officially adjourned for this week. There is no meeting Friday, and we'll see each other back next Wednesday. Thank you all. Have a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.